the first takeaway was that people are now in the oil and gas industry, for the first time I saw that, got seriously worried about this massive attempt of cutting into supply and production opportunities, right? So they felt the heat sort of coming closer, and it wasn't only talk about something like carbon prices, it was like talking concrete about access restrictions and about just massive public opinion supporting that. And as a result, it became a lot more tangible to accept and practical to accept something like a carbon price. So that's my first takeaway. For the first time, I saw that a lot of oil and gas representatives saying, okay, give us a carbon price any day. We can deal with that. We have been through price cycles back and forth. But stop this, not giving us access and threatening our sort of volumes of production on the side of the business, on that side, the volume side of the business model. That would be number one. Number two, and perhaps more obvious, is there have been some strong reactions now to what is labeled the energy crisis, the high prices in oil and gas, in particular in gas. And so now the first voices are being raised and saying you cannot do the energy transition in this blue-eyed, hilarious fashion, which is sold everywhere as this free ride into a good future where everybody creates green jobs and it's basically cost-free and all that. People are now sort of getting much more on the front foot. Barkindo, for example, and ADIPEC in general, saying the energy transition is not simply about replacing with one fuel with another, which makes me feel flattered because it's the same as saying it's not just about fuel substitution. Some of us have been preaching for a while. Voices in particular from Africa coming out very strongly saying we have X billion of barrels below the ground. We are not going to leave them there because we need the money. We only account for 3% of the global emissions. You can't let us drop by the wayside. So all of those who realize for good, honest intellectual reasons that you can't drop out and away from fossil fuels tomorrow, that the world is a bit more complicated than that, and those who see their livelihood directly attacked, be they as company representatives or as countries which are poor enough, are more willing and have more analytical material to raise their voice. That's a debate which I will see getting stronger. And then third one, it's a bit hilarious, is there is this new belief in the 𝗘樋𝗲𝗿𝗆 as the new savior being hydrogen and green hydrogen. I mean, it's amazing. Hydrogen was everywhere. And I give you a little story because it's funny. So I was on a panel debating someone, and it was supposed to be a panel with one of us saying hydrogen is the fuel of the future and the other one saying, no, it's not. None of us was willing to take the stand of hydrogen being the fuel of the future. So we said, we're not going to have this debate to the organizers. And my counterpart even went that far. He said, we don't want the lectures behind which we were supposed to stand. Give us some chairs, because it's not going to be a fight among us. We have no difference of opinion. They brought in the chairs. And then they went to the audience, as usual for these debates. They didn't change the format and had the public question, is hydrogen going to be the fuel of the future? The audience voted 70% yes. So we knew we would have a decent debate, but it was basically us against the audience. And we talked for an hour. And so both of us saying why we think it's not. And they had another poll for the audience. And this time 80% of the audience voted for hydrogen being the fuel of the future. So we duly felt a lot of egg on our faces. Everything that I said was completely in vain. The belief, and I think the willingness if you're an oil and gas producer to jump on something which promises you to use the same infrastructure, to use familiar processes, to use basically the same business models, was so overwhelming that I think good judgment got carried away a little bit. The world's not going to be safe tomorrow by hydrogen.